Hey y'all, how you doing today? Alrighty, today back in the garage and I'm working on getting this carburetor right here off of this 239 V6 LA V6. This is going to go on the Ram Charger. Had such disappointing results with that carburetor. This one has always worked out really well. I've had it on two different engines now, and it's worked really well for me. So I'm going to get this one off and be putting this one on the Ram Charger, get that other one off. And all right. So anyway, another thing, I want to go over a couple of things with you about radiators. Okay, because kind of started that yesterday, showing you installing the radiator. But there was a couple of things I thought of just recently after I made the video that I thought I need to include that too. So here it is. Okay, I'm gonna flip it. All right. Another thing, a lot of the Mopar radiators from 60s, 70s, and 90s, they will 80s and 90s, 60s through the 90s, they will have these mounting tabs here for like your fan shroud. The fan shroud is very important in keeping the engine cool, even if you are using an electric fan. The thing is, you want to use your fan shroud and let the fan, electric or motor engine driven, pull air through there. It's a lot more efficient because if you don't have a shroud, it'll try to pull the air from everywhere except through the radiator. Now, you'll notice inside of here, you'll see like there's a large one row tube here. This is a one row radiator. What I put in the Ram Charger was a 3-row radiator. So what I got to do, or what you want to do, is you want to pay attention to that. Now, this is a very large 1-row radiator. This is probably equal to like an older style 2-row radiator. Okay. Usually, the most common radiators you're going to find are going to be the 2-row, or the 1-row, 2-row, and 4-row. There are some others that have even more than that, but those are your most common ones. Most of the time in performance and heavy duty applications, you're going to find 3 and 4-row radiators. Lots of times in like your grocery getter type cars, your 4-doors thing, you're going to see, and cars that don't have air conditioning, especially back in the 60s and 70s, they would have like a 1-row radiator. Now, but these newer radiators though, they cool really well. Now this one is a plastic tank and aluminum body, so I didn't pay a lot for it, so that's not bad. But other thing, just around, show you something else. You see these tubes right here? I'm got my finger on. That's a tube right there. Okay. Now this back and forth material here, that's your fins. Okay. Now, the more these fins, you see how some of these here are kind of bent down like that. The more they're like that, the less air they're going to flow through there. So, the thing you got to keep in mind, anytime you got bent fins, you got lack of flow. Okay? Now, these tubes here are what you see inside here. Okay? And these go from one side to the other. So they're a big wide tube. All right, so that's how they dissipate heat. The air comes through the radiator, okay, through one side, passes through, and comes out the other side. Okay? And when that happens, these fins are touching these metal tubes, and it radiates the heat into these fins. The air passes through there, and it helps to dissipate the heat or lower the temperature of the water in these tubes as the water's going down. Okay, or in this case, coming up. Sorry. Yeah, in this case, they're coming up and then going over. No, I'm sorry again, I apologize. Duh. You got your thermostat sitting right here. I'll get it right, I promise. Okay? Just having an off day, folks, okay? Anyway, you got your thermostat, which would probably be sitting right here. The thermostat would open, allow the hot water to come through, and because when the thermostat gets hot enough, the spring collapses, the water comes through, comes into here, goes down to the bottom here. I had it right the first time, and then it comes up into the water pump, and then circulates through all the water jackets in the block. Okay, so that's what I wanted to tell you about. These are important bits and pieces of your cooling system. Okay, like I was talking about earlier, in earlier videos, I was talking about the electrical system, the charging and the starting and battery and all of that, and the alternator and the starter and switches and all of that stuff. Well, in the cooling system, you got main players too. You got your radiator, you got your fan, you got your water pump, your water jackets, hoses. All of those things are like your big players. They're your, the big major parts of your cooling system. And if any of them are like crap, yeah, you're going to have some serious problems. So, go through and make sure that they're all in good shape. Oh, another thing here, okay? And then I'm going to get back on the carburetor. Sometimes when you have overheating problems, you can do this. You can go and blast water or compressed air through these fins here and blast it out the engine side, this side, and blast it out through the other side and blast out all the junk and the trash that could be in here. Okay, that's really important, because if you don't, that stuff can continuously build up and basically, kill any kind of ability that the radiator has. The inside of the radiator may be, sparkling clean, but the cooling system itself, the outside of the radiator, if it's like, especially, folks that go off-roading, they'll suffer that problem because the radiator they go through like a mud hole or something like that, and then there's the radiator plugged up, and then the engine's overheating, and they're only just crawling along on a trail or something like that. So, that's what I'm talking about. Okay. All right. So, I'm going to get this Carter BBS off of here. So let me flip this. Okay. Position it all right here. So y'all can see what's going on. Really simple. Not much to this, especially when the engine's not in the vehicle. So we'll just get this off. Okay. Okay. And then I've already disconnected some vacuum hoses and stuff like that. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through and take these 4 nuts off on the studs there and get them loose, get them out of the way. Got a little shorty wrench here. Nope. Okay. Okay, folks, I'll be right back. All right, y'all, we are back, and as you can see, I've got some carburetors laying out here, and had some ideas about possibly using one of them on that Ram charger. And what I'm going to do, what I'm probably going to wind up doing, is I'm going to what I'm going to wind up doing is I'm just going to go and I'm going to either make another adapter, okay, or I'm going to buy an adapter and just bolt one of these. I've got a Stromberg 2-barrel, which is similar to these these two right here. Okay, and let's get in the shot here. This is a Carter 2-barrel. This is a BBS. This is a larger BBS. Or sorry, BBD. My apologies. This is a Holly. I don't know of the vintage or the model number. So, but just for comparison, you can see right here, this is the two gaskets. The top one here is the small BBD. The lower one is the larger BBD. And I'll give you some comparisons also on size. Let's see. Here's the larger BBD. Back in the day, these probably would have been more prominent. You would probably find these a lot on your like a 383, a 2-barrel 383, or maybe a 2-barrel 361 or something like that. Like back in the 60s. All right, see, that's a 1 point. That is a 1.545. Okay, so yeah. And then let's see. This little guy here, we're looking at, let's see, what are we looking at here? Can't really get it up there where you can see. Adjusted where you can see anyway. All right, as you can see, I don't know if you can see, but so this is 1.428. 1.428, 1.5. So bigger. Now, more airflow capabilities. However, let me make something very, very plain and very clear, okay, so that you understand something. The intake that this bolts to is sized for this, okay? So, honestly, if you're going to go through the, Chrysler has made 362 barrels, and I've got one of those 362 barrel intakes, which you can bolt this carburetor directly onto it, and it's sized for this larger, it's sized for this larger plate right here, okay, this larger throttle opening. Let me get this up here so you can see more. So, when you have these two, you can go and swap the intake that this fits on and is sized for this. You can swap it onto a 318, but honestly, if you're swapping intakes, why go to all of that trouble to swap on a 2-barrel intake? Why not just swap on a 4-barrel intake, get a 2-barrel to 4-barrel adapter if you want to run a 2-barrel, and there you go. You could even run a aluminum intake with a 2-barrel adapter. See, like this. So, there you go. Anyway, moving on. What I'm going to do is on this small 2-barrel right here, the small BBD, I'm just going to go and I'm going to, it's missing a couple of clips. I'm going to take this fitting out right here, and it's missing a couple of clips on the linkage, and it's missing some linkage too. So I'm going to get all of that squared away. I'll be right back. All right, y'all. We're back, and I'm got the little clip right here. Yeah. And so that's going to just go on the accelerator pump rod. It's somehow or another it's missing this clip. Don't know how or why, but it is. But it's okay. We'll get it back on there and it'll be fine. All right. Yeah, there's a little indentation in the end of this rod, this accelerator pump rod. There's a little indentation in that made all the way around it that accepts that, I'm trying to get it there in the camera, but it accepts that clip right there. So it's important to have that. If you don't have that, they will fall off. And I can just about guarantee you that they will fall off at the most inopportune time. Ask me how I know. All right, I've got to get some choke linkage for this choke right here, so I will be right back. Okay, y'all, we're back. As you can see right here, got out some of my carburetor parts. This is one of my bins, got quite a few things in there. So I've been looking through these bits of linkage here to see which one is going to be the correct one. Well, first of all, this one, let me get it to where the camera will focus on it. Okay, let's see, can I get the camera to focus on this? I just wanted to focus on the end because the end is like, it's made a special way. I want you to focus so you can see it. All right, you see how that's made right there? Okay, that will only work where it's got the hole that it goes in is made specifically for it. So if your, that's a choke linkage rod, but if yours is like this one here, the choke cam is made where the hole is perfectly round, then of course this isn't going to work. So what do I need? Well, then it comes down to these two guys. Okay, those two, one of those two is going to work for me. Okay, so I've got to figure out which one will work the best. To be brutally honest, none of them are like perfect, but anyway, here's what I'm going to do. I think I'm just going to use this one. It's the most out of the way. See, like that. And then when the choke is operated by, see, this is to like, this sets your fast idle when you're on choke. Okay. So I know you can see this part here is sliding up and down in that slot, but you have a choke mechanism over here that will pull that closed, pull the choke plate closed. When it does, it sets that cam up there. Now right here you're supposed to have a screw in here that butts up against that cam, okay? But then once you tap the throttle after it's idled for a while, you just tap that throttle, and then this cam falls away like that right there, and the choke is ready. It's warmed up and it's ready to idle at a lower RPM. Okay, so when it's like that, when the choke is on like that, your choke is closed, and this is set up for a fast idle. Okay, so if you watch your old engines, they'll start up and they'll be running, and they'll be running at a pretty high rate, higher RPM, and they'll probably be sitting something like that right there. They won't be getting much air, but they'll be getting more fuel, so they'll be running rich on choke. Then after they run for like a minute or two, the owner will stomp that throttle once or twice, and then that choke will just fall away like that. The choke plate opens pretty much all the way. Of course, you got some linkage over here that's not present right now because it's on the vehicle. So there we go. Just a little explanation on how that operates. Okay, so again here I got to find some clips, put the clips on, and I've probably got some over here in all of this. So best thing to do when you're working on carburetors, organize your stuff, keep like the small little bitty bits. This is actually set up for when I go drag racing. So I keep like small stuff that I think I'm going to need at the track. Like I've got jets, I've got some fuel fittings, I've got some springs, I've got some metering rods, I've got the vacuum plungers, or vacuum barrels, whatever you want to call them. You know, I've got a lot of stuff in here. So there you go. All right, let me pause this and I'll find one of those little clips. I already found one, and I will put it on and we'll get this carburetor on the Ram charger. Okay, y'all. I know the video is getting a little long in the tooth, but I went ahead at the last minute, opened this up, and just checked everything out. Everything's looking pretty good in here. I'm just taking this time to open up this accelerator pump diaphragm here. It's leather, and I've coated it in oil to help it when it goes down in the barrel here. So when you're doing this, you gotta be careful not to let, not to So okay, I think that's going to work. You hear that squish, squish, squish noise? That's the accelerator pump pushing the oil I put in that barrel. I put a little oil in that barrel, and it's pushing it out of that barrel through the jets and into the Venturis. So I just wanted to open it up, make sure there was no trash in there, make sure there was no dirt or nothing like that. That 318 in that Ram Charger is a really good engine. Several years ago, not several, but more than that, probably like 10 years ago or so, I put an RV cam in there. It was a cheap RV cam, but it was an RV cam. And now when it idles, you know, after I put that cam in there, you can tell it because it ain't idling like a stock 318. It's got a little more, got a little bit more rump to it. It's not a lot, but it's a little, so it's okay. It's good. So just go through here and tighten all these screws down real quick. Put the linkage back on, and it'll be ready to go on. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's see. Oh, now's a good time to show you these clips and the indentation in the rod. Get my camera to focus here. Okay, you see that little, sorry, you see that little place right there? That little notch in the rod right there? That's where this little clip goes in, okay? Now for some of y'all, you're like, this is old hat and you knew this and you've known this for many, many years. But for some people out there, they may not. And they may not have that wealth of knowledge about it like you do. So it's just something I want to share with like some of the crowd that doesn't have access to that knowledge. Okay. There we go. These clips, they can be a little tedious sometimes to put on, so just a fair warning. All right, so there we go. Okay. All right, that is done. This carburetor is ready to be put on that engine out there. All right. So, selfie stick having a mind of its own. So thank you very much for watching, as usual. I really do appreciate all the subscribes and the subscriptions and the comments and everything else. And all the shares too. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, anything like that, post them down below. I will do my very best to help you, okay? All right, thank you very much, and have a great day. God bless.